Bulldog Unchained presents the one-on-one sessions.
They will go one-on-one with the Great One.
Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. This is the Bulldog Unchained podcast, the one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, the King of Villains, Bulldog Malenko. In the studio with me today is a man who was referred to me almost by sheer accident. I made a post on Facebook a week ago about getting getting my mohawk cut back in and having my beard trimmed so that I better matched my logo again. And my former drummer, Andy Mitchell, posted your name, Mr. Daniel English, and several other people also commented your name on the same post. And I was like, okay, so I looked you up and I gave you a phone call, and
that's awesome, man.
That pretty much sealed the deal. I'm happy as hell that you're here, man.
Right, yeah, I'm digging it, bro. So like whenever I heard you on the phone, I was like, who is this dude? You know, it sounded like The Undertaker or Hulk Hogan, and then you showed up and I was like, holy shit, this dude's a big old boy, you know what I'm saying?
There's a monster in my fucking shop.
And he's wanting a mohawk. And he's wanting it now, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, yeah, I got you, man. Just don't hurt me. But yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, there's so many times that I've had people come in and they're just like, dude, you're awesome, you're this, and I just feel like I don't feel like I'm awesome. I feel like, when they tell me you're the best I've had, well, I'm not the best, but I want to be as good as I can be at what I do, and I want to give a good service to the people that come into me, man. And I'm not always spot on, but sometimes I have to correct my mistakes. And there have been times that people have walked out, they've had a good haircut, but it might not be the exact haircut that they wanted, but I fixed it to make it look good, you know what I'm saying? But, everybody's always been happy, been satisfied, and when they tell me that, man, I feel like bowing down on the floor and saying, no, I am honored to be able to cut your hair, you know what I'm saying, because you came to me, and that speaks volumes,
Well, man, you do awesome work. And also, like, from the moment, like, I was standing in the shop, and when I first came in, you weren't in, nobody was in there, and I'm kind of like, okay. And I stood there for a minute, I was like, hello? And then, like, 2 minutes later, you came into the shop, and I was, like, as soon as we started talking, I was like, okay, man, this guy's cool. All right, yeah, I'll sit in his chair. I'll let him work on me,
right?
That's one of those, like,
yeah, because you never know, man. You're coming into a new place and you don't know what this dude can do or what they cover, and your hair is like the most important thing to you. It's how you represent yourself, and when people look at you and you got a half sideways cut up head and you're trying to be professional, it just it don't go, man. And so I get that, and I want to.
Well, and then there's me with a mohawk and a beard.
Right, man, whatever your preference is, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm there for, to provide that service that you're wanting. And there are some good barbers out there. It's just, it's hard to find them when they're available. And I just try to make myself available, Most are booked solid for months on end, and I feel like this, man. I try to keep it open for walk-in service. If you want me to hold that chair for that specific time, then I got you. You call me, I hold that chair. But I'm still going to keep taking walk-ins. I want to be able to help everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys are helping me and helping me support my family, and so I feel like I owe that to everybody. You know what I mean? I've come a long way to get to where I'm at. And, and I'm not done. You know, I started out, young, cutting hair at 13 years old.
Well, let's jump back here. Let's do this.
Okay.
I'm privy to some information that the audience isn't yet, and we'll build to that.
Okay.
So, how old are you, first of all?
I am. Man, did you have to ask
I
that?
did.
Bro?
You know I got to do it.
Okay, I'm 44 years old.
All right.
I turned 45 this June.
Okay. Well, I mean, so hopefully I remember to snap a picture of you before you leave to put up with this on the page, but you don't look like you're 45.
Does my hair look all right?
You
good. I just cut it today.
You have you look younger than 45, way younger. You look about mid-30s.
Well, I've been preserved.
Right.
I'll just say that.
Well pickled.
Yeah.
So, where were you born? Where are you from?
I was originally born in Evansville, Indiana.
Okay.
And I've lived here all my life. Gone to school here, everything.
Right on. I got you. Probably not something that you have to talk about a lot, but yeah, I didn't know if maybe you were from somewhere else or so.
No.
So you're an Evansville boy.
Yeah.
You're local.
Yeah. River rat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So okay, like what part of town did you grow up in?
I grew up on the north side.
Okay.
Originally, kind of on the outskirts of town, and
like Darmstadt area, maybe.
No, like Stringtown Road on Inwood.
I actually know exactly where Inwood is. One of my good friends lives right off of Inwood, little
man.
street. Yeah.
So I grew up on that street, and at the very end, on the other hill, at the dead end, the very last house on the left. I think they made a movie about that. But yeah, growing up, my folks were kind of wealthy, and then I guess about the age of 13, they went through a struggle and kind of lost everything, and then we ended up moving down to Woodbridge Apartments and lived there for about 4 years, and then ended up, I started getting into my devious ways because we didn't have much, and
how old were you at this time?
I was 13.
Yeah.
Right when it starts for most kids. So I was getting into stuff, going to Schnucks and hanging out at the cookie section. And me and my buddy would work on a conversion case and start loading up on cookies, eating them, and manager come get us and run us out of there. And then later years, about 4 years later, we moved into the manor, and that's when we really kind of had hard times. And my folks couldn't really afford a lot, and I wasn't old enough to work yet. I was in middle school, and my mom was a beautician, and she would work. She would work sometimes she'd work till 10:30 at night, cutting hair, doing nails, busting her ass, so that we could have something. And my dad had to go to truck driving, and sometimes that truck wouldn't make a whole lot, and so like they worked together, you know, and I was raised up on bologna and hot dogs, you know,
Yep.
pretty much most of that time, and so if it was like if I asked for something, my dad said, "Go to the other ear, I can't hear you," and I'd ask him again, and he'd say, "Yeah, that one's bad too. You might want to come to me tomorrow or something." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, you know, if you wanted anything, you had to work for it, and I couldn't wait for that. You know what I'm saying? I had to go get whatever I was going to get, and whether it meant stealing or whatever, you know, I was going to get whatever I wanted. And my mom, she would sit down and sew me shirts. She would buy material from the sew fro and sew me up shirts, and I would go to school and people would call me Fruit of the Loom, you know, because these shirts, I mean, she did damn good on them, but they weren't enough for most other kids, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, kids are assholes.
Yeah, so I developed this I don't really give a shit attitude through all that, and then as I you know, I got onto the wrestling team, and I did that for all through middle school and up into my freshman year, but then I ended up getting around the wrong crowd again, and started smoking cigarettes, and started smoking pot, and then I started alcohol, and that was like the downfall right there for me. You know, from then on, it was like every weekend I ran to weed or alcohol, and you know, I was pretty functioning with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could handle everything, but my grades went to shit, and you know, my lifestyle did too, and I ended up dropping out of high school. And
How old were you when you dropped out?
I was actually my senior year, and
So about 17.
yeah, and my grandfather was dying of cancer, and he begged me to go back to school and get my diploma. If I did anything in the world, go back and get your diploma, you know. And it was sad, man. I showed up at the hospital drunk, and then probably 2 days later he died, suffocated with blood on his lungs, fluid, and
That's rough.
yeah, and so I made a vow that I would go back, and I was lucky enough to get into I guess it was like an alternative school, Stanley Hall at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back there, and they let me get my diploma, but I ended up getting in trouble there, and I ended up going to North Annex, and it was so bad that they were like, just come in, drop off your homework, and leave. You know what I mean? And,
Oh, man.
and so I finally got that, and then you know, for the next few years I just ran, and I had gotten several DUIs, well, about 4 through those years, and lost my license, got them back. Got caught driving on suspended, no insurance, suspended. I mean, a long list, and wrecked several cars. And I always, you know, I could fall in a bucket of shit and I'd come out smelling like roses. It seemed like so.
You get that invincible mentality.
Yeah, it was like, well,
Nothing
you know,
can touch me.
Hey, I didn't kill anybody. I'd always say that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you know, I continued that pattern of alcoholism and drug abuse, and it just got worse and worse. to where I'd gotten hooked on crank, and then it turned to meth, and then it was a whole nother world, man. And then
that stuff grabs a hold of people.
Yeah, and then I found myself hanging out with people that I would never have hung out with ever in my life, and doing things to get it, like to make it to whatever, you know. I don't want to incriminate myself, but past, you know, things we do, you know, is just and I was trying to be a big shot out here and show out, and I had a fancy car and I had clothes and I was working, but I ended up losing my job and my finances went upside down, and next thing you know, you're kiting checks and you're stinging people and paying your bills and having dope in your pocket, and you're you know what I'm saying, and everybody thinks that you're really doing things, but you're really not, man. You're just you're posing, and that's what I was doing for a long time. So,
and this is into your 20s.
This is all the way up into my 30s.
Yeah, okay.
Up to 34, when everything just came to a dead stop, brick wall. So it was 2008, Christmas Eve, and I was on probation for I can't remember his battery. And they gave me 3 years. 3 years and battery on law enforcement, and yeah, it was a bad deal. At a bar, my ex-wife got this cough, making me nervous. No, so end up get into it, and it was more like battery on me, you know what I'm saying? But I got the charge and got thrown in jail. And 60 days later, I get out of jail, and they gave me 3 years probation. And so I rolled with it, man. And I had to take a breathalyzer every day. And you know, whenever you live a certain way and then you're thrown into a different way that you have to live, you're thrown into shock, and it's like you're not used to it, but you're like, okay, I will. You know, it scares you at first, and then they put so much on you that you're overwhelmed, and not only that, life hits you on top of it, and
especially coming into sobriety. And
yeah. And they want their money. Your family's going through things. At that time, my father had died from Lou Gehrig's disease, and I had nursed him. I nursed him for the last 8 months of his life. 6 months into it, my grandmother died from cancer. His mother, and then he died 2 months later, and so that was a blow, man. And I finally just went over the edge with it, and I just said hell with everything, and started drinking, and you know, I had booze on me, had drugs on me, and I'm driving around in the rain, and my headlights weren't on, and I had a cop behind me, and took off. So it was like good versus evil fighting inside my body, my brain, you know, my spirit. Like, I need to pull over. No, run. I gotta pull over. You know, what's right, what's wrong. So I pulled up in a parking lot on Greener Road, and then I was just like, I'm gone. I don't want to go to prison. I'm gone. And I take off, and it's dark, it's raining, and I'm impaired. Shouldn't have been behind the wheel. And I take off. Next thing I know, I don't remember nothing. And then I come to again, and I'm being dragged across the street. And I look up, my car and the other car's on fire. And I'm out again. And then I wake up, and this cop is holding me like a bear hug, calling me a dumbass, you fucking idiot. And he says, you killed that other guy. And I didn't know, and I didn't believe him. You know what I mean? I was like, you're lying. You're lying.
Wow.
And then I wake up in the hospital. That is all I remember to this day, man. And so I stayed in the hospital for 3 days, and I broke my femur bone. It was a compound fracture.
Oof.
And they put a rod and a bolt and a screw in my left leg. And when I found out that I killed somebody, man, I was just like, oh my God, you know. Somehow I'd run into another car, and I don't know how to this day. I don't know if they pit maneuvered me. I don't know if I ran into them. I don't know. I know I didn't intentionally do it.
You were just blackout.
Yeah.
Gone.
And, you know, this kid, he was 21, and he had a family. He had a child. He had a life. And I took all that, man. You know? And you don't ever want to know what it's like to take another man's life. You know, I carried that, and it still sometimes bothers me, man. But,
I could only imagine.
So I went to jail, and there was a lynch mob outside the courtroom every day that they wanted me hung, you know, and I understood. You know, I brought all this on. You know, not only was he a victim, his family was a victim, my family was a victim. Everybody lost, and it was all because of me. And so I felt like I deserved whatever they give me. And they came to me with a plea of 18-9, and I was on probation, and I just signed it, man. I didn't contest it. I just signed it. I said, run it, man. You know what I mean? I deserve it. I probably deserve more. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt at the time. And,
yeah.
And so, you know, I got sent up not even a week later, and they sent me to Miami Correction Facility in Kokomo, Bunker Hill, Indiana, and probably one of the rowdiest prisons in Indiana. And they sent 200 of the worst 200 people from each prison in the state of Indiana there. And that place holds 3,800 inmates. And it was rowdy. Every day there are at least 5 signal 1010s. Okay, most of y'all might know what signals are if you've been incarcerated. But there's like a 1010 is an inmate on inmate. A signal 7 was inmate assaulting a guard. You know, and I might have that wrong. Signal 7. Anyway.
This is a rough house.
It was rough, man. You know, people walking with locks and socks on the walk, and people making shanks and hiding them in the ice box where you get ice at, and wherever, man. And you're just like, you know, how in the hell did I get sent here, man? You know,
Right. It's like,
But
I've heard so many stories of people who, I mean, I get if you're a violent criminal, if you're a violent offender, and they put you in a place like that, but taking someone who is not truly a violent criminal and putting them in a gladiator pit, that's
yeah, man.
that's really life-changing.
So they put me
Like,
in
I despise the prison system in the form that it functions
Yeah.
today, because there is no true rehabilitation
Absolutely
happening in
not.
those fucking walls.
No.
It's not serving the purpose that it was designed for.
They have programs, and it's all about funding. I mean, honestly, it's all about funding from the state so they can get their money. But the programs itself, the way they're designed, you aren't going to get shit out of it unless you want to change. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all the same stuff. Whether you're in this dorm, that dorm, or that dorm, they're pumping the same literature, the same everything, like the same videos. Oh, I seen that over in C dorm. I'm over here in E. Which that kind of happened whenever I got down to Branchville, Cupcake Camp, compared to where I was. But I was up there, and I had this bunkie, and I thought, my first week there, these two guys got into it, and they're arguing, and he says, well, come on up here in my cell. And I'm minding my own business, sitting in my cell, and I hear all this noise going on, so I step out on the range, and I hear some scuffling, down the way, and this old boy comes out, and he's got blood from his head all the way down to his belt buckle, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? And this guy comes out, he's got blood all over him, and there's blood all over the floor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, where am I at? And he says, you found what you was looking for. Well, he went in that guy's cell, and he got his nose broke, and that was what all the blood was from, but it scared the living crap out of me, and I knew I didn't want to do all day in that cell. I needed to get a job so I could get out of there, and I knew I had 21 years, do 10 and a half, and I couldn't do it all sitting on my head, you know what I mean? I had to get moving, and a lot of things weren't going good in my life at that time, so I needed something to focus on.
Well, I would think that that's an understatement. I mean, you've been locked in a gladiator pit. I would say about 0.9% of things are going well.
Yeah, and when they put you in with wolves, you got to be a wolf.
Hell yeah.
So,
yeah, you have to. That's the other thing, man. Like, I have friends who have been to prison, not just county jail, but been to prison.
Yeah.
And they tell me, man, they're like, dude, you have to adapt to your surroundings if you want to survive. And I'm like, that to me, like, I love the shows like Lock Up and stuff like that, where it shows life on the inside. You see some of these prisons, and it's just like, okay, well, that one, like, these guys are just, they're kind of cruising through their days. And then you see others where, like what you were talking about, every 20 minutes something's erupting on the block, and
yeah,
you don't know if just walking through the hall that you're not going to have to fight for your life. And I can't imagine being put in a scenario like that, just because now that I'm older, I'm calmer, but there's always there's that switch in my brain from I had, traumatic childhood and whatnot, but I have that propensity for violence.
Yeah.
And mine is much worse than most people's, in the simple fact that if I have to get physically violent with someone, I want to hit a level that most people are unable to even reach, and I want to get there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And a place like that would just turn me into a flat-out killer. I could not imagine being put in that situation.
It just, man, you're not really violent, but you're always on guard. You know what I'm saying? So, like, imagine a cat pushed in a corner, and you get pushed far enough. You know what I mean?
Claws come out.
You're gonna react, and I only got in 2 scuffles whenever I was in there, and I was very lucky.
And how long were you there?
I was there for 5.5 years, and after that got around, nobody really messed with me, and I was thankful for that. And the only bad side of it was that I had a few gang members come to me and wanted me to join, and I was like, dude, I roll alone. I respect you, and I like working out with you guys sometimes, but if shit gets real, I'm gonna have to do something that I don't want to do, and I'm gonna lose time, and I'm never gonna see my family again, and I'd rather not even go through that, disrespect you all that way. And they respected me for saying that and just speaking truth, because there is a whole nother world under that.
Even as tumultuous as it is, there's still a code.
Yeah, and so we worked out together. I'm not going to mention any brands.
I mean, anybody listening with a lick of sense can figure out who you were approached by. But yeah.
But I'll just say they were the good ones out of them all. But man, I gained a lot of respect, and it took 3.5 years before I gained a lick of respect from anybody, because everybody in there's trying to be the alpha,
Oh yeah.
But then I worked every day. Not every day, every other day. I would go to Penn Products, and I would sew up jumpsuits for all the inmates in all the prisons in the state of Indiana, and juvenile system, boys school, county jails. We made all different colors, and I started out sewing back pockets, and then I went to hemming pants, and I ran to the double needle machine doing the inseam. Mm-hmm. And I did all these machines within they were like 3 to 4 months apart, and in the first year, so I'd be on one for 3 months, and then I moved up, and then I became an inspector. And everybody's goal there was to get to be on the list, to where you could go and work in a minimum wage shop that was on the other side of the camp, where they made filter bags, and they were filter bags for hospitals for the ventilation system.
Okay.
And then they'd make produce bags, and they would have guys on sewing machines making these cuffs that went on the end of the filter bags. And they were maybe 6-inch in diameter, but and there were bigger ones. And then a heat seam machine job came open, and I jumped over to that, and I worked that for 4 years, 4.5 years. So they had a time cut program, okay, and you had to get, which up there it was different, because people had more time there. So like, if you had less than 3 years, you couldn't get a job in there. But if you had 8, you had plenty of time to get that time cut. And it took me 4.5 years to get 4,000 hours to get this 6-month time cut. Okay. And no raises. Okay, and you're making minimum wage.
Yeah.
And the only thing you get to look forward to every day is I made 1,500 parts today. I'm gonna try and make 1,600 tomorrow. I'm gonna try and make 2,000 the next day.
Basically a competition with yourself.
With yourself. And then your days off, it was the weight pile and your workouts. And I worked out every other day out in the rec yard in the weight pile. And the days that I worked, whenever I got off work, we would go in at 7 and we'd get off at 2. So I'd come in, take a shower, go to my room, go to chow, come back, and then that evening we'd do a workout in the dorm. We had like a monkey bar set up in the middle of the dorm, and we'd do push-ups and we'd do pull-ups and we'd do stairs, and just it was constant beast mode, you know, workouts. I mean, P90X had nothing on this stuff, man. Like 1,000 squats a day, kind of, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
1,000 push-ups.
These are dudes with nothing but time.
Nothing but time.
And you got to be in some kind of prime shape because you're surrounded by
monsters.
Bad motherfuckers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and I wasn't tough by no means, man. You know, and I just like to stay in shape and to be able to push somebody off me if I had to. So I did that for 5.5 years, and I finally got that time cut. And my boss come to me and he said, "Well, your time cut's here and you leveled down." He said, "You're getting ready to move." And I said, "Really? You know, where am I going?" And I was freaking out, you know, because we're afraid of what we don't know.
Oh yeah, change is bad.
What's ahead of us? And so they told me I might be going to Branchville, and I thought, cool, I'm closer to home, you know. All that time, man, I didn't have anybody come see me, and I didn't expect anybody to. I didn't have a girlfriend, didn't want one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Jody would have been at the house with her anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
It's like you heard that story about that guy that he did time and he got home and there was this guy laying on the couch, and he went back in the bedroom and he said, who is that laying on the couch? And she said, "Well, honey, that's Jody. He's been sending you money and putting money on the phone so that we can talk and this and that." He said, "Well, get him a cover. He looks cold."
Oh shit.
But yeah, so anyway, you know, I did that, and I got into the barber shop there.
This is at Branchville.
Yeah, Branchville.
Okay.
And between me and 4 other inmates, we cut 1,400 inmates a month. That's how much the prison held.
Right.
And at first, man, I thought, you know, I've been cutting hair since I was 13 years old. I'm pretty good. You know, I know what I'm doing. And I hadn't picked up a set of clippers in quite a few years. So I finally got in there, and I went to cut the first guy's head, and I messed it up. And he's mad, you know.
Oof.
And I said, "Well, you can't whoop me. You know what I mean? What are you going to do?" And he was mad, dude, and just stomped out of there like, okay. So I continued to cut hair until I got good, man, and it took every bit of a year before I wasn't making any mistakes. And what mistakes I did make, I could correct. You know what I'm saying? For anybody out there that's trying to be a barber or
like a stylist,
you're struggling with it, man, you can listen to somebody try and teach you 5-6 times in a row, and you're not going to get it until you have your hands on it and do it and work through it your own way. you're gonna have trouble with it, man. But don't give up. You have to keep working through that. And I would find things that other people did that I liked, and I would try to use that to my style, to perfect my thing that I do. And I learned quite a bit of things. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, though, still whenever I got out, but that I picked up in the real world. I'll talk about that later, but I worked through that Barber program. That was a 6-month time cut. I went through the Plus program. That was a 6-month time cut. I did.
Now, in the barber shop, in the prison.
Yeah.
So, like, what time would your day start?
My day would start at 7 o'clock in the shop. But like in the dorm, I would get up every day because it was open dorm there. You got idiots running all over the place. They'd call breakfast at 3:30 in the morning. Sometimes it'd be 5. You just never knew. And then they'd all line up at the front door and jump right out of bed and be standing at the front door, 150 people in that whole dorm, and they're all crammed in the day room. So it's like, nuts to butts. Everybody smells like they've been eating on a bag of mashed up assholes, and you're standing right in the middle of it thinking, why, man, every day. So like, I was like, forget this, man, I'm gonna wait for everybody to clear out so I can eat my breakfast and I can run in and brush my teeth, and then I can get ready, and then I can go, because I hated being crowded, man. I hated it. And it just, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it's funny, but it's the reality of it all, man. It's real talk. It happened.
Oh God.
And just chaos every single day, man. And the only way,
I'm betting that just the sound alone of the environment, just the ambient noise all the time.
Oh yeah, man. And there was this one dude, they called him Mississippi. Loved the dude, he was great. And he'd come in every day, whether it was hot or cold, doesn't matter if he was leaving the dorm or coming in it or going to the library or the gym. If he came into a building from outside, it was, oh yeah, it's cold outside. And he would come in singing that, and you'd be sleeping, trying to catch a nap. And you'd hear other guys throwing shoes going, shut up, and all kinds of different characters in there, man. Like, you just couldn't imagine. I mean, it was comical, and there wasn't a day that didn't go by that you weren't laughing about something. But, man, the most loneliest place you'll ever be. I don't care if there's 150 dudes in there, 250 guys in there.
Yeah.
Man, when you're going to bed hugging a pillow.
And that's when you're alone with your thoughts.
And thinking about, man, I ain't held a woman in 8 years. I ain't, you know what I mean? I'm lonely. And you got some dude over here going, a good cell, he lays on his belly. And
Jesus.
And you're going, get out of here, beat it, I mean, it was just all the time jokes. But
yeah.
Your feelings, man, you still have your feelings, and so all that time, man, and all that stuff that I went through, I was still carrying that in my mind, man, and feeling like I wasn't worthy, and God wouldn't want me because I killed somebody, and I was a piece of shit, and I lost my grandma whenever I was at Miami, and I'd finished up that program, And when I think of my grandma, man, I think of like Johnny Cash kind of, she was just old school. She was country, and she was tough.
Had that edge, that hardness.
Man, she carried a switchblade with her whenever I was a kid.
Shit.
She beat a dude up with a frying pan one time out in front of her window, peeping Tom. She was mean, but she was good as gold to me, and she was like my mama, and wasn't nothing she wouldn't do for me, man. And she came every chance she got to come up and see me, and them guards would treat them bad, but she got to come up there and see me graduate from that program, and they had to wheel her in a wheelchair, and that was rough, bro, watching her. But I got to push her in, and I said, "How's it feel to be in a prison, Grandma?" And she said, "Well, I guess I've seen just about everything in this old world now, haven't I?" But it wasn't too long after that, man. She came down with cancer, and it ate her up, and they wouldn't let me go to her funeral, and she died, and that was a blow. And so for about 2 weeks, I didn't want nobody near me. I told them stay away from my door, and then about after that second week, I went to work. I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I got a card from the whole dorm, telling me they were there for me, and I was just like, man, that's your family. You live with them. You're around them.
It's kind of like a bunch of annoying-ass brothers.
It is, man.
Yeah.
You stand in line with each other to the showers.
I think a lot of my friends who are former military veterans, I think that a lot of people that hear this will probably be able to
Oh, yeah, man.
be able to relate with that.
So, but, that's life, man. It doesn't just happen for one person. It happens to everybody, and everybody goes through something, and we have to tend and deal with it and just keep moving on, as my dad would always say.
But see, that's just it, man. Like, as soon as I met you, I just, like, you have an energy. You have an energy about you, and I was just like, as soon as you shook my hand, you're like, "It's nice to meet you." I was just like, I like this dude already. Like, I knew.
Yeah.
And even before you started cutting my hair and trimming my beard, I was just like, I like this guy. He's
right on,
good
man.
people. And that's one of those things of, you being in there, you could have gone a completely different way.
Oh, yeah.
In that environment. And, I mean,
yeah.
Any given day, it would be, I mean, at least in my imagination, any given day it would be very easy to seal that as, well, I'm here for the rest of my life now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's some things, man, it's just pride messing with you most of the time. But, some of these nut jobs that are in there, they could look at you and think you're saying something about them. Your mouth ain't even moving. And then the next thing you know, you're in a fight in your cell with them. But, whenever I made the transfer down to Branchville, and I first got there, man, I still had that mentality. And it was like my reputation followed me, so I still didn't have any problems. But at that point, man, I felt like I was getting old, and I didn't want any problems. You know what I mean? I wasn't that tough. But people like to talk things up, man.
Oh, of course.
I got in a fight up there at Miami, and I hit a guy. Well, it just so happened he didn't have his shoes tied, and they came off, he come out of his shoes when I hit him, and
So you knocked him out of his shoes.
yeah, so it went everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then the side of his head was split open, and they said, "Dude, what'd you hit him with?" Well, I picked up a 13-inch TV and I hit him. He was a big boy, and I was scared. And
Fear is a powerful fucking compeller, man.
and then after that, he got me one time. Which I threw him up against the wall and I started piecing him up, and he's screaming, "Stop, stop, stop." I stopped and he hit me. He got me one time in the eye and it rung my bell, and I thought, oh shit, and he ran out of the cell. He was a little more scared than I was, but I was scared, because he had about damn near 50 pounds on me, and I just got lucky. And after that, he come back to the cell wanting his shoes, and I let him get his shoes back, and he didn't want no smoke after that, and I didn't either. But I still had to play tough, you know what I mean? And
You had to walk in that fine line of, look,
Yeah.
man, I don't want any further problems, but if you bring a problem,
yeah, so
shit's gonna get real. Yeah.
So I went over and I shook his
I know
hand,
that
and I
well.
said, "Yeah, man." I said, I shook his hand, and I said, "We cool now?" He's like, "You're lucky." I said, "Well, you want to get back in there?" I didn't want to get back in there, you know what I mean?
But you gotta.
But I had to
Keep
play
it up,
that,
yeah.
and he stopped right there, and then that was the last day we talked. But that followed me, man, and I'm glad it did, because by the time I got down there, I was too old and wore out. I felt like, you know what I mean, to even mess with anybody else, and but I still kind of had to play tough. And a guy came up to me, he said, "English," he said, "I like you, man, and I want to invite you to Cairo's." And I said, "Cairo's, what's that?" He said, "Man, it's awesome." He said, "It's great. They feed you all kinds of food, and man, they sing and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Man, whatever, dude. What kind of food they got?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to know nothing about none of all that, man. I'm trying to get through this right now, and I felt like if I leaned on God, that it would soften me up to where I couldn't be soft in there.
It'll leave you vulnerable.
And guys standing up on stage crying and everything, and I was like, dude, I can't do that. I can't. And it was calling me. It was tearing me up, man. It was like, I got to do something. I cannot be like this when I get out. I was not raised like this. I can't be this. And so I signed up for it. And I went in there and I was real guarded, and it was a wonderful thing, man. People coming out of their way, taking time out of their work week, their lives, to come up there. Some people were retired. Some people all these people cared, and they wanted to help people change their lives, man. And some people got it in them to want to change, and there's some people that are just ready for the next ride. What can I get out of this? What can I get out of them? Take advantage of people, man. You know what I mean? And I've run into several people like that through my bit, and they were just ready to sting somebody else for another cake or money on the poker table or whatever, and they showed up to Cairo's for a meal, and I showed up, man, and went through it that first day, and I seen the love in these people, man, sharing the love of God, and really trying to talk to me, and I didn't know how to react to it, man, because I had all these other inmates around me watching me, and but I felt it, I felt it, and I went back, And I thought about it that night in the dorm, and I seen all the other guys walking around with cookies, and some guys sitting up reading their Bibles and just feeling good about the day. And the next day I came back, man, and I'll never forget it, man. Reverend Steve Brown was sitting at my table, and Reverend Brown goes to the Vanderbilt County Jail to talk to kids, to people. He goes to the juvenile center to talk to kids. He goes up to Wabash and does Kairos up there. He's well known in the community, man, and he's a good dude, solid dude. He's my friend, and I love him to death, man. But something was on my heart to just share with him, to talk to him. And dude, I was 225 pounds. I could bench 365, and here I am like a little baby, tears running down my face, man, crying. Talking about, I got to talk to you about this, man. I got this on my heart, and it's killing me. You know, I killed somebody, and I never meant to, and I don't know what to do. And he said, Dan, he said, I remember that day. I remember what happened. And I also remember that man's mother getting on stage, and she forgave you, just like Christ did, you know. And you have a life to live, and you have a story to tell, and you have to get out there, and you have to do something with it. You have to try and reach people so they don't have to go through what you went through. And man, it was like it perked me up. And I was ready to go, man. I was on a mission, and it was like I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Goosebumps all through your body, and I just wanted to help people turn their lives around.
It was a positive reinforcement from an outside source telling you that you were still valid, even though you had done this thing. And that's like, I'm an atheist, but I don't begrudge anyone of their faith so long as they're not hurting anyone else with what they believe. And you know, it's like I've got a buddy named Derek who he's in the past few years became a born again Christian, and we love to give each other shit. We love, I mean, it's just, but we've been friends for so long, and we have really good discussions about it. Like I'm very, very much in tune with many religions that a lot of people have never even heard of. I've studied, and the one thing that I can say is when people can find purpose, true purpose, and they want to not only better their life but better the people around them as well, more power to you.
Right on.
But the other thing that falls into this is I think that you have a great depth of character just to you that a lot of people who could have been put in your same predicament and situation wouldn't have. Right, like there's a you know, at the end of the day, everything boils down to accountability and personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
And you know, you strike me like, you know, when I was sitting in your chair, you know, I was asking you how long you've been cutting hair. Yeah, how'd you learn to do this? And I told you, I knew before you even told me. I was like, this dude was a prison barber. Yeah. I knew. You had that demeanor anyway. Like,
you sure it wasn't the tattoo coming up out the back of my shirt? Or?
Brother, no. It's like one of those, ink. Man, it's kind of like there's veterans who have actually seen combat, and people who have been in prison. They have very similar looks, like in their eyes. Like it's even though you're trying to be soft to the people that you're meeting, there's still an edge. There's And
well,
it's
man, you always
probably
gotta,
never going to go away because it's that predator prey.
You always got to be aware of your surroundings.
Situational awareness, yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're inside or out. There's always people out there trying to get you, man.
Yep.
So you got to be a little street savvy, and just be aware. Yeah. I don't know any other way to say it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's situational awareness.
Yeah.
It's very important, and a lot of people are lacking in that.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just look at the news, look at how people react to things now, how everybody gets offended, and they think that, oh, well, this is how I feel about this, so this is how you should feel about this, too, and it's like...
Yeah, man.
First of all, just in this country alone, there are 327 million people. You need to chill the fuck out. Like, you
is
calm
what it
down
is, yeah.
and take a look around you.
Yeah, I mean, you see, dude, there's so much fake news, and it's like people get all bent on it, and then you go to research, and it's like,
This never even happened.
Or that was like over the course of so many years. It didn't just happen all at once.
Yeah, or you just got enraged about this article from 2014.
Yeah, man.
Stop it.
I mean, it's going to happen whether anybody likes it or not, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like it. I don't like to hear a lot of it, but I like to be aware of it so I know what's ahead of me. I mean, if they're going to drop a bomb in my area where I live, I turn the TV off. I don't want to see it. No. I want to know what time and what day so I can get the hell out of there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can be over at the barber shop instead. But yeah, man, it's whack,
Well, I mean, it's good though that you, like, a lot of people who know me, like, when I say I'm atheist, there for years I was militant atheist. Like, I had no tolerance for people even trying to spout anything religious at me. I'm like, look, I will shut you down with your own book.
Right.
Stop right there. I will just absolutely obliterate your mind right now with your own scripture that I can quote just as good, if not better, than whatever reverend of whatever church you go to. And then I hit a point some years back, and I was like, what did I really accomplish with that attitude?
Yeah.
I didn't make my life any better doing that. I didn't make these people's lives any better. I didn't give them a good impression of an atheist, and I've already got my impression of deeply rooted religious folks. You know what I mean? So nothing changed there. And finally I hit the point of, I developed this mentality toward that, and it was, if what you believe in at the end of the day, 1, makes you a better person, 2, helps you make the people around you better, and 3, you're not harming anyone with what you believe,
Right.
then what does it matter?
I mean, I was raised up Baptist, man, and my mom and dad never could get along on which church they wanted to go to. Like, my dad was Lutheran or
Catholic light.
So, like, it's like whenever I did go to church, I'd go with my dad, and he'd be in the back row snoring so loud this lady would come up the pew and smack him on the back of the neck, and he'd wake up, and then we were gone. And but my grandma read quite a bit of the Bible to me, so I can't really recite a lot of the stories. Some I can, but I remember them all when I hear them. And I don't preach to nobody, but I believe, man. I believe he's there, and he's always watched over me, man. He's kept me safe in the deepest, darkest places, and I've come out untouched. Kind of like Daniel in the lion's den, I like to think of myself as sometimes.
You were literally Daniel in the
'Cause,
lion's den, and I can appreciate that. That's
So it's like, you know, I know he's looking over me, and you know, things happen in life that that most people would say, if there was a God, then why? Why did he let this happen, or why did he let that happen? And I think of Job and the devil trying to take everything from him to make him say forget it, but he stayed with God, dude.
the most devout man in the Bible.
Exactly.
And got shit on more than anyone in the Bible.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I know
And,
that. I know the story of Job very well.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel the blessings coming. You know, there's times things happen, and like just recently we've gone through a few things that kind of knocked us back a little bit, man. But
There has to be a balance.
when people come
You
in
can't
my
just
shop,
have good. You can't.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you don't appreciate
well,
it.
if it wasn't for the bad times, we wouldn't know what good times were.
Exactly.
And it comes in seasons.
Yep.
Not just for me, but you, everybody, man.
Seasons
suffers.
to cycles. Yes.
And, you know, I feel like good things are getting ready to come for quite a few people. And that's the discipline of it, man. He shows us love through discipline. You know what I'm saying? And through discipline, I learn. So...
Well, let's cut back here. So so Reverend Brown,
yeah.
that's his name. So he comes in.
Old Marine, yeah.
All right. So you're part of the Kairos program.
Yeah.
And now, you know, it seems to me like what's your total time in now when this happens?
Oh, it was the second day in, man. So, like, the first day, it was, like, for about 4 hours, 5 hours.
Well, no. I mean,
And
how much
time?
Yeah,
was
how
it?
long have you been in prison?
So, I'd been in for, I would
This
say
about the 6 year?
6, yeah.
6.5?
Yeah, 6.5, somewhere in there. I think it was 2013, 14.
And how long did you actually serve? Like, how long?
I
What was
served.
your overall total?
They gave me 21 to 10.5 years, and I got 2 years in time cuts. So I got 8.5 done.
Man.
And then I did another 18 months on parole. Flawless victory. Yes. So,
Man.
and it wasn't that bad, man. I mean, like, you hear people talk about, oh, parole's terrible, this and that. It's not bad if you do what they
Keep your
say
head down,
to
do what you're supposed to do.
I mean,
Stop trying to fight the system because the system already kicked your ass.
yeah, man. I mean, don't try to get away with nothing. Just act like you're still doing time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really not that hard. But yeah, man. So I was, and it wasn't. They weren't pumping Bible into you. They didn't have no Bibles there.
It was more about fellowship.
It was fellowship and doing talks, and then they do these third grade drawings on a poster of the whole group, and then get up and talk about it in front of everybody. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was kind of like a Toastmasters deal, but it helped us to break down the walls that we had built through the years and to open up. And it got me kind of ready for society, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, I would read my Bible to myself. And that's when I started getting into the Bible more. And I just... but I wasn't like a holy dude in there, you know what I mean? I wasn't telling people, go to church with me, bro, and here, sign these cards, and God loves you. You know, I didn't do all that. I was, you know, I still had to keep this image. but I wasn't as rowdy as whenever I first got there. And as I got down to the end of my time at Branchville, which Branchville was very petty, you know, they'd try to write you up for anything, and if you got wrote up, they'd take your level back up so they could keep you there. So that meant you wouldn't go to a level 1 prison.
Right.
And that was my whole goal, to make it to a level 1 before I got out. Because I knew I was going to lose time if I stayed at Branchville any longer. But you know, I got that time cut, and it was at that time in Branchville when I got into the barbershop and I got really good. The guards started having me cut their hair in the staff barbershop, so I became a staff barber. And like, you know, I think that was the only place that you could have shears, and you had to sign them out whenever you used them.
Right.
And one day this guard came in and he wanted a haircut, and he said, "Man," he said, "I cannot get a haircut this good on the streets anywhere." He said, "I can't find anybody that can do a fade this good." And it hit me, man. I was thinking, well, because I don't do drugs or drink or nothing, man. You know, I'm sober. I'm on spot. I'm on point.
And you do this for hours every day.
Yeah, I'd cut 21 to, 25 heads of hair a day there at Branchville. And it was like, man, I got it, dude. That's what I want to do. I want to get out, and I don't want to do drugs no more. I don't want to do alcohol, nothing. I want to be the best barber I can be. I want to be focused as I can be and give the best damn haircuts I can give, man, and be spot on.
Rejuvenated with purpose.
So I had passion for it, and I ended up leveling down to Wabash. Okay.
Yeah.
And they had this old man that would come in
Up at Vincent's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this little old man, he'd come in once a month, and he'd cut 10 heads, and he'd roll out. You know, he wouldn't do shit, and they called him the Wabash Slasher. Yeah, because he'd come in there and he'd fuck some boys' heads right up, dude. I ain't kidding you. They'd be walking around madder than hell for a week. Talking about, man, can you cut my hair in the bathroom? I'll give you 2 soups, bro. You know? So,
oh my God.
You're in the bathroom with 2 combs and a razor trying to get it, you know, cutting their hair. And finally, man, I got tired of cutting hair in the bathroom, and there's 200 dudes up in this dorm. And I was like, look, I did the barber program there at Branchville, and these dudes need haircuts, man. And you all are raising hell about people cutting hair in the bathrooms. Let's fix this. Well, I had a hidden agenda. That was my hustle. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That was how I got a little extra money in the box. And so they brought this big barber station in for me, and clippers and everything. And I started cutting everybody's hair. There was 200 dudes in there. And I would start cutting on Wednesday night, and I wouldn't be done until Sunday. And I worked a day job. I would go out on a road crew, and I would work every day till about 2, and then I'd come in and I'd start cutting. And I'd cut all the way till 8, 9 o'clock at night, go take a shower, and then, yeah, which I would get my workout in before I did the haircuts.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was beast mode all the time, but it was a good way to make my time roll. And I did that for the next 8 months I was there. And it was like, it seemed like 8 weeks when I got done, you know what I mean? But after that, they were just screwed. They didn't have anybody. But then when I got
it's kind of sad that somebody didn't like saddle up with you and hey man, show me how to do this.
I mean,
Hey man,
there was one guy, but he was, I called him Cuba, and he was about 4 foot tall. And they had this great big tall chair that, you know, the guards would sit on. So he was having a hell of a time with it when I left.
I'm just picturing a midget barber. That's
Yeah, he had that shoe shine box he was standing on, you know, trying to cut. It was great. Like, well, see you guys. Good luck, you know.
oh man, that's ridiculous.
Good stuff, man. But, yeah.
Can you lean your head all the way back?
Yeah, so, you know, man, I got out and I knew I could cut because there was, I mean, in there, dude, like, you got people running to you. Like, you couldn't lay down without somebody running over there going, hey, English, man, can you cut my hair tomorrow? This is how I want it. And you're like, okay, bro, just wait until tomorrow. And when you get in the chair, we'll talk about it, okay? Right now, I want to go to bed.
Right.
I just want to go to bed. And, yeah. So you would get that a lot. So when I got out, man, I went, and I was on parole, and I thought, I want to get in barber school. You know, and I had $3,000 saved up from hustling and working, and, you know, that was a lot of money for a guy.
For a fresh parolee, yeah, man. That's impressive alone that you were able to do that.
So I got some clothes, and my sister helped me out on a house that she had, and you know, I couldn't pay her rent, but I kept the electric and water paid, and I tried to slip her some money for letting me stay there, man. But she was like, don't worry about it, you know. She knew I was having it rough, and that was solid right there, what she did for me, and I love her to death, man. She's tough. But anyway, I got into barber school, and
So wait, hold on. So what year did you get released?
it was March 23rd, 2017, and
Man, so you just over 2 years.
yeah, and so I got into barber school, and I was hustling haircuts at my house, and I was working at Sally's Beauty Supply Shop on the west side.
Right on.
Yeah, and they told me I was the first straight guy that ever worked there.
You're gonna laugh about this, but so I'm also an artist,
Yeah,
and I figured out some years back that I'm actually good at sculpting and painting and all this, and then I had a girlfriend who she liked to do different things with her hair,
yeah,
and it just hit me one day, and I looked at her hair, and I was like, it was no longer hair. It was just, oh, that's another medium. That's all it is. I can do something with that.
yeah,
I did her hair in like this turquoise and purple,
yeah.
and trimmed it up and everything. And no joke, when the pictures got posted, so I'm friends with several girls who are stylists,
Oh,
and they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. And for a brief moment of my life, I contemplated going to beauty school to actually learn to be a hairstylist for women, and I joked with my female friends who are stylists, and I was like, but does this mean that, like, you know, my big mohawk bearded self with the spikes in my lip and all this, I was like, am I gonna have to like act like I'm a gay dude? And they were all like, oh no, are you kidding? Do you realize how many women are gonna love that you're just a straight dude fixing their hair?
Bulldog, will you fix my hair? Yeah. Oh yeah.
And one of my friends, Amanda, she was like, you would probably make more money than any woman I know.
Oh
doing
yeah,
hair.
absolutely, man. I mean,
But I thought better, and I was just like, no, I don't. I didn't have the passion to do that.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome, dude. I mean,
but yeah, so I mean, I get like whenever you say they said you're the first straight guy to come, I get it. Like that's why I started laughing.
I just, man, I feel like, you know, I heard something somewhere, and it was so awesome the way he said it, but it was like, you know, he said, a man without a vision will perish. And, you know, we're all created with a gift. And that gift we should be able to do with the greatest of ease. And it's no strain, no stress. And you should be able to make money doing it and enjoy doing it.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to do with this.
And you know what I'm saying? I mean, it makes you happy.
Well, and that's just it. If you look at people who work up into their 80s, 90s, they live these long lives, and then you got people that are in their 60s or 70s and they retire. A lot of people after they retire don't make it 5-10 years,
Right.
because all of a sudden that purpose, that daily drive, it's gone.
Right.
If you don't have drive and ambition anymore, you're basically just sitting, you're in a vehicle waiting to get out of the vehicle.
Right.
That's
Right.
that your energy just leaving this vehicle, waiting on the next one, whatever it is, you know, and it's,
I mean, you spend 85% of your life working, so you might as well be doing something that you love, you know.
too many people never figure that out, or like, you know, you hear people say, oh, you got to work hard, I don't mind hard work as long as it's something I enjoy.
Right.
But if it's just me collecting a paycheck and you're slave driving my ass,
Yeah.
I'm looking for the nearest exit.
Yeah.
I am, and I think that's how most people feel. A lot of people don't want to admit that out loud because we have that social mentality of, oh, you can't be afraid of hard work, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Dave. You spent 30 years sitting in an office cubicle. You ain't worked hard a day in your fucking life.
Right,
I'm out in 102-degree heat busting my ass. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, and I've done it all, you know.
Yeah,
Concrete,
I've
block,
yep.
roofing. I mean,
I did one day roofing.
Me too,
one
man,
day,
me
brother.
too.
One day, and I didn't even make it the whole damn day.
Oh, man.
We had a late lunch that hit at about 2:00 in the afternoon, and by then, and this is no joke, man, it had to be 98 degrees out that day, and on that roof, it was about 120, 130 degrees. And when he said it was time for lunch, I looked at him and I said, I appreciate the opportunity, but you will not be seeing me after lunch. And he goes, all right, man. He wasn't mad about it. He was like, happens a lot. I was like, I'm glad you understand. Because if I got to carry another bundle of these shingles up that ladder, I'm going to throw you off this roof.
right, man. Yeah.
It was just there. I've done jobs that were enraging. Like I worked in a tire retread facility. That is one of the most physically demanding and enraging jobs I've ever had. And that job, like that's the only job I've ever had where I literally in my mind, I thought, I'm going to murder someone in this building.
Yeah.
Like not even as a joke, like I'm going to snap here and I'm going to kill somebody.
Nothing hits me worse than corporate crap, man. Like, we, you know, it doesn't matter what is common sense,
Pettiness
what
and bullshit.
works.
Yeah.
We want you to do it this way, and it might be 10 times harder, but
oh God, yeah.
you know, like come on, dude.
That's the other thing. I'm 40, and I can't work jobs now. I'll walk out if I come in and take this job, and after I've done this job and I learn this job, and I go, hey, there's a more efficient way to do this that's going to be easier on us, and it's going to either maintain the same level of production or quality or increase it. and you say, no, this is the way, well, fuck you, find somebody else, because I can't be around that kind of dumbassery. That's just willful ignorance, and I can't deal with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just
stupid. Place is blowing up, and we gotta fix it. Well, no, I want you to go over here and clean that.
Yeah. Clean up that puddle on the floor. Never mind the fire to your left. Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The puddle on the floor is because the damn sprinklers are going off, jackass. What?
Yeah,
and
man.
that's just it, man. A lot of people who get put in these positions to manage them. First of all, we as human beings, we're not supposed to be managed.
No,
We're not. We defy nature at every turn. We're not supposed to live on top of each other like this. We're not supposed to have big ass cities. It's supposed to be a tribal community that's typically not supposed to be any larger than 400 or 500 people in a tribal community, because this is no joke, man. The human brain cannot maintain more than 150 to 200 solid connections.
Oh man, I'm less than that. You know?
Well, you were in a gladiator pit where you're like, fuck you, get away from me. I respect you as long as you keep your 10 feet over there.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Oh man. Well,
and I'm kind of in the same boat. Just I have a lot of friends, and I use the air quotes when I say that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that consider themselves my friends, and then there are my friends, and my friends know the difference. And one thing that my friends will say to people who think they're tight with Bulldog, they'll look them right in the face and be like, oh yeah, where's he live? How many times you been to his house? Right. Oh well, I've never been to his house. Shut up, you don't know him then. You know public Bulldog.
Right.
You don't know Bulldog. Like,
right.
You guys are cool at the bar or absolutely, wherever out in yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
But yeah, man, it's like, we're not supposed to be managed like that, and and we're also not supposed to. I mean, that's a third of our life. If you third of our life, 8 hours a day, at least. If you work a regular 40-hour week job, a third of your life to build somebody else's dream. I have a regular job right now that I have to work. I've got to pay bills and all. At least the job that I have, I don't make a lot of money. It's decent. And my job is just enjoyable enough because I get to drive.
Right.
So I'm out in the truck the majority of my day, and I'm listening to podcasts, or I'm listening to music, rocking out, or you're listening to Howard Stern, laughing, just whatever. And I'm not having some dickhead looking over my shoulder all day. Hey, how come you're not? Why are you in my space, man? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I got this, bro.
Yeah.
You back it up. Yeah, I get it, man. I mean,
when you where were you? Because you were working before you went straight just to the barbershop, right?
Well, okay, so I was working at Sally's, and I was going through school, and I started working at the Parlor, which is a barbershop on Theater Drive. Alex Rocha owns it, and very nice barbershop. I really dug the shit out of that barbershop, and I felt like me and him, man, good friends, and I helped him pretty much get it off the ground. I mean, he's already established as far as clients. He's a damn good barber, damn good stylist, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't really be that great with a straight razor. Just truth be told.
That's one thing I was going to bring up here in a little bit is.
So I owe.
That's an art in and of itself.
I owe him.
That's the first time I've
props.
ever allowed someone to use a straight razor on me when you shaved my mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and.
So yeah, man, I really dug it there, and but I felt like I was just kind of kind of in a bad situation because I was still going through school, and I was learning some really good stuff from him, but I needed to get my license, and whenever I finally accomplished that, he had filled some spots, and so that wasn't available anymore, you know what I mean? And so I had to find something else, somewhere else, and I was kind of heartbroken about that, you know, because my heart was there at that shop. We did a lot of growing together there, and I mean, everything. So, and I met a lot of great people there, you know, but, you know, times change, and you gotta survive and move on and adapt. So that's when I found which, when I was going through school, I was working at Sally's, and Larry Nickens came in to buy some supplies and stuff, and he was like, yeah, man, I got a shop over here on Allen's Lane and Grove, and I was like, dude, I know that place, man. I've drove by it probably 1,000 times, you know, throughout my life, and I was like, I thought it was always closed, you know. He's like, well, that's what I want people to think, you know, because he said, you know, I work for a school corporation, and then I have my certain set of clients that I do, and I book them every week, you know, the same times, and I got a nice little thing going, and I don't want any more. And he said, you ought to come check it out sometime. I said, man, I might, you know. Well, when I found out, you know, there wasn't a spot available, I went over there and I checked it out. And I had offers from other shops, but I wanted to stay close to home, you know. So, you know, I had an offer by Gerald's, and then I had another offer. I can't remember, but I thought, man, I just want to go.
I know Gerald.
A good dude.
He is a good dude,
and he does some really good work.
Gerald, I used to work at a group home.
Yeah,
taking care of a group home. Yeah, and all of the guys at that group home, that's where they went. And he, like, we're talking developmentally disabled guys, and he was super with them. Like, they loved going to Gerald's. So,
yeah, and I like sent him some of my work, and he was like, man, that's really good work, and I'd be more than glad to have you here. And but I thought, man, it's all the way on the other side of town, and you know, I just want to be close by. So I went in there and checked it out, man. He was in there cutting somebody's hair, and I said, man, you know, I'm getting ready to take this test, and you know, I didn't pass the test the first time, you know. It took me 4 times to pass that barber's test, everybody.
Really?
And I'm proud to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? It took Vidal Sassoon 14 times to get it. Okay? And he's pretty good. So it ain't about all that. And I ain't too proud to tell you, man. I mean, I've always struggled with tests and retaining, but you know, I know I got horse sense, and I can see and do a whole lot better than I can read and
learn that way. Yeah.
And yeah. So well, I can read and write, but
absorption by immersion.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you know, where was I at?
You're at the shop checking it out.
Oh yeah. So
you passed the test.
Yeah, I just kind of flashed back to the 12th grade. But so yeah, man, he was like, yeah, I don't need nobody here right now, but man, if you got any questions or need any help, you know, feel free to call me anytime. And I was like, right on, you know, kind of bummed out. And then the next day he called me. He said, man, you got the wheels turning in my mind, man, and I got some ideas, and I want you to come by. And so we talked it over, and he's like, man, I'm gonna put you in the front window, and it's your shop pretty much all day, just you. And you know, he comes in there after work, and he works on a few people, and then he'll come in there on Saturdays, and but he doesn't do anybody else but his people. So anybody that comes in, I'm on them. You know,
Well, yeah, I showed up. I had an appointment. Like I said, when I walked in, I was the only person there, and I was like, hello?
Yeah.
Hello? And then you walked in. There were 3 people.
Yeah.
That walked in right after you came back in the shop, and I was like, man, I'm glad I called.
I mean, like, bro, Saturdays, it's standing room only.
Yeah.
It's like, it's no joke.
And that's awesome, though.
It makes me feel good.
I saw the picture that you posted yesterday of the coif that you did on that dude.
Yeah.
The fade into the coif. Because I know the reason it jumped out at me was because that picture is right there as you walk in.
Yeah.
On the wall. I remember it. I was just
yeah.
I was like, yep, I know that hairstyle. I know it very well. And then you were like, this dude walked in, saw the picture, said that's what he wanted. And then you posted the side-by-side pictures, and I was like, well, that guy's hair wasn't quite long enough to pull it off, but man, you absolutely nailed it spot on for what he had. And I was just like, jeez, dude, Daniel's a miracle worker. Like,
man, sometimes, you know, as a barber, and it's not just me, but every barber, there's nobody more critical than we are about our work, you know, and sometimes we will look at things and pick them apart until we just find them disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And
anybody who's passionate about anything they do does that.
And I had made a post today, and I thought, I picked it apart, and I took it back off, and then I asked my wife, I said, man, am I overthinking it, or was that just...
If you have to ask yourself if you're overthinking it, you're overthinking it.
Right, and she was like, it was fine, honey, it was fine. I said, you know, I just want to put out the best that I can, you know, and I post everything that I do.
Well, yeah, like you
but
asked
like
for,
most
you
of the
asked
time,
for that
man,
picture of me right after you
yeah,
did it.
most of the time I'm like so busy, like I had to send you a message to send me it because I didn't have a picture on hand that day. Like, you get out of the chair, somebody else gets in it, I don't have time to take a picture and swipe the card and, how you doing, buddy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that. But if I can get one in here and there, I try to, because I want to give everybody my services, man. And you know, whenever the kids come in, I try to motivate them to go in the right direction in life. You know, I tell you, when going through all this, and I've come up, man, but I've got a long way to go. I got a lot to catch up on, but through it, man, I met my wife, and just beautiful inside and out. You know, she went through her struggle in life. I've known her for a long time, and it was kind of like meant to be, man. And neither one of us even knew it, you know. I was 26. We were hanging out at a buddy's house, just smoking, you know, good friends. And then next thing you know, 20 years later, here we are, married and working together at the same goal. And you know, I don't drive, but she doesn't care. You know, and we do just about everything together, work together, pay bills together.
You got a teammate.
I do, man, and
That's a very important thing too, man. Too many people look at relationships and they want this perfect ideal thing, and I'm like, what you need to do is find yourself a partner.
Yeah.
You need a teammate, someone who is going to cheer you on and that you can cheer on, doesn't make you feel like a pile of shit, and you both complement each other and you make each other's lives better.
I'll tell you what, man. First and foremost, you got to be friends first.
Yes,
man.
absolutely. If you don't like the person, you can't love them.
Yeah, anybody can have physical attraction,
that
but
shit fades.
It fades off.
That honeymoon period crashes down, and then you're left with, oh, now I have to talk to this person.
Exactly, man. And, if you can relate with somebody on everything and get along and laugh and joke, all that other stuff ain't really that important. One day you're going to be 60 and it ain't going to work no more. You know what I'm saying? So
don't put that evil on me. I'm 40 and mine works overtime. Jesus Christ.
Right,
that's ridiculous. You hear all that like, oh, once you hit your mid 30s or you hit 40, everything slows down. And I'm like, when the fuck does that happen? Because let me tell you, Bulldog's ready to go, and I'm ready for some peace in my life.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Mother Nature needs to catch up with my ass and put that on lockdown.
But yeah, man. I mean, I just couldn't ask for any more. I mean, any better. She's my rider, and I love my sweet Brandy Joe. That's all I know, man. You know what I'm saying? But she knows everything that I've gone through, and she's seen me when I was a shitball, and she's seen me
come
now.
Out the other side.
I mean, she's and she gave me a chance when probably nobody else would. But whenever I first got out, that wasn't where my focus was. It was on, you're 43 and you ain't got shit. You ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and you got to catch up. And this is the only way for a man who's uneducated as I am to get on his feet and gain some ground and make some people happy along the way. So that's what I do, bro.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that you saw the reactions to the picture when I posted it.
Oh yeah, man.
Just of my mohawk being back and my beard being trimmed. You made fans of my show, and you made my friends very happy.
That's awesome,
that I look like this again,
dude. And I am honored. And that's, you know what I'm saying? I'm honored to
and
to be able to do that.
It could have been that day. Literally could have been. I could have just been another dude that came in. I could have told you nothing about myself or why this was important. I could have just been like, I need you to trim my beard and I need you to cut my hair into a mohawk. And that could have been the extent of our conversation up until, all right, man, you want to pay with cash or card?
Yeah.
Like that could have been it.
Right.
And I was like, nah, man, I'm going to let him know. I'm going to let him know basically what I'm charging him with, like what he's going to be responsible for, and that he comes highly recommended.
Yeah. I had somebody come in the other day and they were like, man, it was a kid, okay? And they were going to graduation and his mom was there with him, and he said this other barbershop that he went to, and I wouldn't really call it a barbershop. I'd call it a corporation.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to say the name of, but he said that I like this place so much better than that place because they don't talk there. They don't talk to you, and
they talk to each other.
Yeah, he said, you already made me laugh, and this is a fun place. And then halfway through it, he said, I like what you're doing with my hair, and And then he turned around and he said, Mom, we're coming back. We're coming back here. And I just, man, that makes you feel good that you've made somebody happy, that you did a good job.
Your shop is the first time I've been in a barber shop since I was 19 years old.
What?
No joke.
Wow.
When I moved to Vegas in 2002 or 2001, I was 22.
Yeah.
And after being there for a little bit, I just shaved my head.
Really?
And started razor shaving it all the time because I didn't want to go. I grew up in Mount Carmel, Illinois.
Yeah.
Small town. My family had a furniture store.
Yeah.
2 doors down was Norm's barbershop. His name is Norm Brunson. Shop's still there. And that's what you did. $5 for a haircut, man. And then when a few years later, $7 for a haircut. But I'd be at work with my dad and be like, "Hey, Dad, I'm gonna go down to Norm's, have him cut my hair." All right,
right on.
And that was it. And it, for anybody who's never actually been in a barber shop, and I don't mean going to like a Master Cuts or a Fantastic Sam's or a hair salon, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
A barber shop, I do know plenty of, I know women who will go to a barber shop and get their hair cut. But that's very few and far between, because in 2019, I know a lot of you aren't going to want to hear this, but a barbershop is a man's domain. It really is.
Man.
It is one of the last vestiges that a man has to go and sit with other men, whether that's a 5-year-old man or a 95-year-old man. It doesn't matter if a dude brings his 5-year-old kid in there. That kid gets to feel like, for that time frame, he's a man, because he's sitting in there with other men. He's getting to hear manly conversation, which most of the time they adjust for the presence of a 5-year-old. But, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different beast in a barbershop. And the moment I walked through your door, I saw 2 chairs. And I was like, hell yeah, man. Okay, I like this. Because I was, up until then, I'd only talked to you over the phone. And I was like, oh, God, what am I walking into?
Right.
If I walk in and it's like glitz and glamour and there's like 8 stations, like, I'll let him cut my hair today, but it's probably going to be a one-time deal. I walk in, small little intimate shop. It's attached to a house, right?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So, by the way, for all those that are out there going, okay, where's the shop? Where's the shop? Quit talking. Where's the shop at?
Yeah.
It's Larry's Hair Design, 1620 Allen's Lane on the north side of town. It's, it ain't much, but it's old school.
It's great.
And
anybody around here who's listening to this, if you've ever been in an actual barbershop and you're looking for that again, this is where you want to be. What's your phone number?
The phone number there, you can call or text. It's 812-480-4983. And that's Daniel English.
Yeah.
You can pretty much text me whenever, drop your name, and you can call me during the daylight hours. But during the night, I don't really mind a text. You know what I mean? Just be respectful.
You got a family. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to be there, be of service if I can, and because I know sometimes we're in time of need.
Are you there? I would imagine Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 6.
Real barbershops are not open on Mondays, folks.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
But I'm there 9 to 6. Through the week. If you call me, if you text me, and you need me to stay past 6, I will stay till 8.
That's awesome.
But most barbershops ain't open all day on Saturday. They close at 12. I try to stay there the whole day. I'll stay until 6. I mean, you know what I mean?
If there's people coming through the door, yeah, man.
Yeah, and they have been, you know, so.
Well, that's what one of my buddies was telling me, was that you were working an actual full-time job, and you had to leave the job to
I was
focus.
actually, I'm not going to tell you what the place was.
You were at a milling facility, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, that's what I heard, and I was like, okay, look, I know that they make decent money out there, and if he had to leave there to go do this, then that's a huge statement in and of itself.
It was a corporation again,
yeah.
And I was told to do a job the most ridiculous way that you could do one, and and I said, "Excuse me," and he told me, he said, "You not like the way we do things around here?" And I said, "No, I never said that. I just I don't understand why, but it's whatever. I'll do it, you know." And he said, "Look, I don't give a shit how you feel, and I don't think corporate does either, and you're going to do it." And my mentality, man, I don't handle that well.
Disrespect, man, disrespect.
And I said, "Well, I'm sure you're a nice guy here." I said, let me back it up. I said, "I'm sure you're probably a nice guy on the streets, but you're a cocksucker here, you know." And
that's awesome.
he was hot.
That's awesome.
He was livid. And
good for you, man.
then he left, and then I thought, what did I just do? You know what I mean? My mouth.
But you know what, though?
I got a mouth.
Sometimes people have to be slapped back into the space-time continuum and realize that they're interacting with other people.
Yeah. And I thought I had enough, but that was the wrong way to handle it, you know. But
maybe,
you know, that count for 10 and then take a deep breath and then think about what you're saying.
You could have counted to 30 and still called him a cocksucker. I get it. I've been there.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
there ain't enough breaths in the world to take.
You know, and then you know, so after that, I just they called this other guy in to try and tell on me, and he said, "I love you, dude. I like you working here. I'm not going to tell on you." And I said, "You know, I don't care if you do at this point." And then they pulled me up in there and they told me they were going to investigate it and all this stuff, and I was suspended. I said, "Well, it's been real and it's been fun, and but it ain't been real fun."
Mm-hmm.
And they called me on Monday and told me that they made the decision that they would no longer need my services. And I said, "Well, I already made the decision on Friday. And I feel my barbershop's a little more important than this facility."
Yeah.
And it stumped her up pretty good. She couldn't believe it. But I just thought, you know, you people just treat people any old way, and it's not right.
Just
man.
a modicum of respect. That's all there has to be.
Yeah, I mean,
95% of the problems in the world could be fixed if people were just respectful to each other.
yeah, man, just treat each other right and
Yeah.
work together. What happened to the mom and pop mentality, the family ran business,
look.
you know what I mean? And it's just all like, we don't care. We'll tell our customers yes, yes, yes. We'll run you in the ground.
Yep.
Doing it, and
Whereas
we can
back
replace you.
again, growing up in a small town,
And
in
now,
a family business, the business owners used to get together at a cafe on Main Street, and they would talk about what they could do to improve Main Street.
and now,
now
the
it's
turnover
basically
rate is ridiculous. They're talking about
And they wanna
sending
blame-
6,000 people in to fill these jobs, and they don't know.
Well, and
do.
they want to blame it on laziness. People don't want to work anymore. No, they don't want to work for you.
Yeah, man, it's
You put assholes in positions of power, and they're running all your people. I had the same thing.
And these
with
places
last
are
job.
so huge; they'll never shut down.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's just more cogs in the wheel or more cogs in the machine. That's yeah.
So, and I get it, man. I mean, it works for them. It just doesn't work for me, and this is where I need to be. You know.
Yeah.
This is where you need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We all have a calling, and if you're unhappy, don't quit your job.
Right. No. Yeah.
Find something else before you do.
I've been at this now for 3 years, and now I'm starting to get those numbers.
Yeah.
Where it's attracting attention.
Right.
And now all I need is for the right company's attention to be attracted, and they're like, I've had a few offers, but some of these companies or people that could be potential sponsors or advertisers. Well, could we get you to change this or adjust? No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're gonna? If you want to do an advertisement on Fox, you think you're going to be able to call the Fox Corporation and be like, well, we don't like this program. Could you change this and then we'll advertise with you? They're going to tell you to fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, don't advertise with us. Go advertise somewhere else. And that's kind of how I feel about my show. Like, I've worked hard to
Sell
build
out.
this brand. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've worked hard to build this brand into what it is. Man, if you listen to those first 20, 30 episodes, ooh, it's rough, man. Like, this show was a whole different beast. It was...
I guarantee
it was
man.
chaos.
Yeah.
But now, like through the years and through cultivating this, I feel like I've found that rhythm. I know what I'm supposed to be doing with this, and I know that my show is, like I told you in your shop, I was like, my show isn't for everyone.
Right.
It is for everyone.
Right.
But it's not, because the Sunday show starts like the regular show begins with "You are the motherfucking Antichrist," the quote from the Howard Stern movie Private Parts. And I have found that alone, when people click play and they hear that, I've just given you a choice in the first 5 seconds, because that right there has just set the tone for what this insanity is going to be. And you are making a choice. You now have an educated decision to make. Do I continue listening or do I not? Because you got about another 15 seconds after you hear, or I know you got about 30 seconds after you hear "You are the motherfucking Antichrist" to decide whether or not you want to click it off or continue to listen before you hear my voice and my cohorts that are in here with me.
I've heard worse, man.
And that's just it. Like, I've been told by some people that my show is a bit abrasive and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You ever listen to Howard Stern? Yeah. I love Howard Stern. And shut the fuck up, man. Like, what? What are you talking about?
Well, I know, man. I grew up on Howard Stern.
Oh, God. I love I'm sad that he's retiring, but I'm happy for Howard.
Yeah.
I think it's next year.
Gives room for you.
Well, look, I am not even claiming to be. I'm not going to be at Howard's level, but I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
and I know that there are a few podcasts that do like way bigger, but in my opinion, Rogan is the king of what is happening right here. Rogan is the king of podcasting. There is no other show like that. Like, that's one thing I'm looking forward to. If I can attract the right companies and advertisers and sponsors, not only does that pay me to do this job to where this now becomes my daily thing, but that gets me advertising revenue, gets my name out there more. I get to attract more people, and then I can start getting authors. And I actually have an author who I know personally who's coming on the show next weekend.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those, trying to build this.
Right,
But you listen to Rogan, and Rogan will have a comedian on one day. And then the next day, he's got a politician. He had Tulsi Gabbard on there, who's a congresswoman. She's a 16-year military veteran. She's going to run for president.
Yeah.
On the independent ticket. Holy shit. And her interview was fascinating. And I was just like, wow, okay, she gets it. And then the next day, there's going to be he's going to have a scientist or a philosopher on, or like an archaeologist, and that to me, that's what I want. That's why I created the one-on-one sessions like this, and I gave it a whole new intro, so that it's still a part of the Bulldog Unchained brand, but it's its own thing.
Yeah.
And I knew as soon as I met you, and once you finished cutting my hair, I was like, and you told me while I was in the chair, yeah, man, I really got into doing the barber thing, in prison, and I was like, ooh, there's a story here. There's a whole big story.
When I told you I wasn't real savvy, you was like, send me the link, and I snapshotted it and sent it to you, and you're like, that's cool. I was like, dude, I'm not real savvy with these things yet. And you're like, you'll get it. And I was like, I got a backstory you wouldn't believe.
Uh-huh.
I didn't
told
know.
You, I was like, I knew.
I didn't know that if you knew, I was like 8 years behind in technology and you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I mean, even two years later now, yeah, you're still playing catch up.
Yeah, man, and I've caught up quite a bit, but there's a lot, that.
But the other good thing about you is you have this throwback feel.
Throwback feel like what? Throwback Thursdays?
No. When I say throwback feel, I mean like you have this feel to you of a guy who has not been a part of this shitstorm of society for 10 years.
Oh yeah, man.
It's
whack.
And it's kind of refreshing. It's like
yeah.
It's like, man, he missed out on all this bullshit. Like,
man,
like the entire society in upheaval when a gorilla got shot at a zoo. People lost their fucking minds, man. That was 2016, I think. 2015, Harambe, the gorilla. And dude, if you would have been on social media then, you might have abandoned it.
Yeah.
Just because people went batshit crazy.
Yeah, it's overkill, man. Like, shit happens, and I have no control over nothing. And,
3 foot bubble.
Right, man.
3 foot bubble.
I'm not trying to get caught up in all the drama. I just want to live and enjoy my life and just my everyday, like to be able to get up and eat a nice breakfast and to go to work when I want and to have a roof over my head, to be able to go and do my laundry when I want. These are things that, man, you just would wish for when you're sitting in a cell, to be able to use the bathroom in privacy. And
yeah, for almost a decade you got to realize everything that was taken for granted.
Yeah, you go to wipe your butt and you're worried if you're wiping yours or the guy next to you because the toilets are so close together. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a bit of privacy ever. And whether you're in a shower full of dudes like a big gator pit together, or in a day room, or if you're at your bunk, there's dudes all the time, dudes all around you. And dude, there's a whole free world out there for the taking, and if you just take it one day at a time and live right and be honest and loyal and trustworthy, it'll go a long way. You know what I mean? And people ain't gonna judge you. If you're real and you say what you mean and do what you say,
Yeah.
And a lot of people that know me, they know I'm a solid dude, and I stand on that. I don't play no games. I don't fake act with nobody. I do what I say, man. You know what I mean? That's who I am. That's who I was in there, and I stand on that to this day.
And that's what I mean by you're a throwback.
But I don't.
That's a whole call to a generation that
I don't try to get caught up in all this stuff out here, man. I mean,
and that's good.
It is what it is, and it's sad. But
but you can only control what you do and try to leave the environment around you better than you found it.
Exactly, man.
That's awesome. I think that's actually a great jumping off point. Can you believe we've done this for 2 hours?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to roll, bro.
Brother, I appreciate you coming on the show so much. I knew this was going to be great, and it was.
Yeah, it was.
It was fantastic.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
And you deserve every bit of success that you find in this now.
You as well, bro.
I appreciate that. And Daniel English, thank you for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, brother.
I am the King of Villains, Bulldog Malenko. This is the Bulldog Unchained podcast, one-on-one sessions. And I'll be back tomorrow with 30 minutes of mayhem. Later.